All right, we're gonna break down Ferris versus Marlon at the ADCC trials. So this is the final. So whoever wins this makes it ADC. So obviously there's a lot on the line, and there's a lot of people watching as well. So from here they engage into a hand fighting battle. Marlon's pulling at the head, and Ferris is also hand fighting back. Goes for a slide by. The slide by fails. They go from here. So we'll move forward from this. There we go. So this is actually his second single leg attempt. He did attempt a single leg earlier, but this time he uses that wrist grip to peel the wrist out of the way, and then he managed to get his shoulder underneath his hand. And because for his went for a collar tie instead of down blocking, his hand isn't in a position to defend the leg. And now Marlon really hooks it nice and tight onto the knee, and now he can lift the knee off the mat. And what Marlon does really well, instead of like just waiting and like just grabbing the leg, he immediately lifts it up and switches towards like a Bazagat double leg. So you can see he lifts the leg up in the air and pretty much sends Ferris like flying. He runs him down towards the mat. Now Ferris tries getting up, but Marlon crowds his hip. So anytime they're getting up, right, like a lot of people think we're controlling the upper body, but it's how to get control of the upper body, because he's going to have frames in place. So instead, if you can control the legs, that's the best way to guarantee your opponent from not standing up, especially when you don't have chest-to-chest connection. So you can see Marlon crowding the legs and really looking to control that bottom leg from high sting. He's not initiating his passing, but he kind of makes, not a mistake, but anytime you want to keep someone down, you have to stay within the legs. And because Marlon takes a slight step backwards, because he wants to start going around the outside, it gives Ferris the opportunity just to like heist and post. And as Marlon tries covering the distance, he can look to push him away. Marlon did a really good job chaining it with another single leg and trying to hit this like clubbing finish, which then Ferris just managed to like duck his head out the way and nearly go for like this modified back take, and Marlon squares up, but it didn't back on the single leg. But once again, like once they have a single leg and you're kind of like bogged down and your opponent has good defensive frames in place, it's quite hard to get the finish. So Marlon does an excellent job sitting backwards and going for that ankle. I believe because Ferris has an underhook instead of grabbing the wrist, he's not doing a good job controlling this wrist here. So because he has the underhook, he's like using that to lift Marlon up. But Marlon can also transition towards the ankle because this doesn't really do a good job blocking this. So you can see how easy it is for him to pick the ankle up instead of going towards a high single. So excellent control by Marlon. Something to note, points only come into play in the second half of the match at the 4-minute mark, so we'll see how that plays into it. So it's an 8-minute match with 4 minutes overtime. I think the same thing will probably happen here. Marlon might try to like look to pass, and then if he disconnects too much, Ferris will probably look to stand up. Marlon doing a better job staying closer to his legs to stop the stand up. And now he looks to pummel his like shin over his ankle to like clear the connection and look to go into like variations of loose passing essentially. It's quite interesting. You can see once the butterfly hooks come in, his like goals change now from just ejecting the butterfly on the outside. And what he does really well, he kind of takes like this weird grip where he like puts it in between his leg and extends and tries to hit like a backstepping motion and jump towards the other side, which nearly works. Like this is quite nice. He's like elongating the hook and then trying to like hip switch off it, but Ferris just manages to hook his leg in the hamstring and track him over. But something to note, it's like when he pulls the leg as well, like the knee and elbow disconnects. So if Marlon did sit off the hook, he would be in an excellent guard passing scenario and he'd probably be past the guard. But because Ferris managed to hook that, he managed to square his hips up, and now he's probably going to look to wrestle up. And once again, because Marlon is within the legs, as he tries to wrestle up, he just put him step back towards headquarters and point the knees towards the mat. So Ferris wants to get his legs back underneath him, but because his legs are kind of stuck, even look there, I think that grip on the knee kind of did it for him. He wanted to wrestle up, but if you look at Marlon's, I think left hand in this scenario where my pointer is, Marlon is grabbing his knee. So as Ferris tries wrestling up, he can't move the leg out the way, and it makes it easier for Marlon to step over and put him back towards his back like he did there. So very nice. Ferris actually uses that momentum of him coming in to kind of take him overhead and do like a kind of Basami type entry, and nearly manages. Oh, it does manage to get the knee line, which is excellent, and then controls the second leg. So quite a good exchange by Marlon and Faris. Like Faris did a great job trying to wrestle up. Marlon shut down the wrestle up, but in doing so, Marlon gave like a pushback reaction in which Faris used to elevate him and enter into the legs. So you can see Marlon's pushing back because he wants to keep him down, but essentially leaves him open for that entry. So that was quite nice. They look to battle from here. Marlon's just trying to free his second leg, and I believe Faris is trying to heist, either get on top or start going for heel hooks. So saddle is also a great position to sweep from and pass, not just a good position to leg lock. There we go. So that's going belly down and heisting towards his knees. Marlon doing a good job sitting him up. Let's see. He just manages to free the ankle and kick out, and immediately you can see how Marlon's already turning. He's worried about the heel hook threat. He does a great job countering it and freeing his knee line. Faris is trying to pull his toes back into him, almost like a lateral knee bar or pass towards inside Ashi, but Marlon manages to free his knee line before he can do that. And now Faris goes into a bear trap, and then Marlon turns back into him. What's interesting is that he didn't really attempt to lock her like a triangle, I guess because Marlon was grabbing his ankle. Faris couldn't really go foot to foot and extend and start chasing his back. So instead of that, he kind of like rushed the back take. And this would have been a good position for Faris to wrestle up, but Marlon does a good job countering and staying ahead of her head. You can see again how he's back into the legs and he's stopping him from standing up. So you can see he's trying to pummel his ankle over his ankle. Try to get his knee towards the hip from here. He's doing a really good job pushing that knee down. So something that's good that if you're getting camped in this split squat position / camping position, oftentimes going towards outside position guard like K guard is the best strategy because you can stop them from controlling you and exhausting you over time. So Faris looks to throw his leg towards the outside, but Marlon knows this and he does a really good job pushing the ankle down. But Faris still manages to almost switch sides. Then Marlon does a good job keeping him on that inside hip and laying his body weight onto him. You can really see he's trying to pummel his ankle out. Puts it back in. Faris does an excellent job throwing his leg towards the outside, and because Marlon is a bit too late in stopping the hook from going towards the outside, he manages to throw close guard. So because he's more on his knees here, when the hook comes in, Faris has an opportunity just to lock his legs and play from here. But Marlon manages to step his leg backwards, and now he's pushing the ankle down, and he's back in the split squat position. And this position can be fairly exhausting over time, especially for the bottom player, because the top player isn't really doing that much, isn't really working that hard, I should say. He is actively hand fighting and trying to pass, but the bottom player is having to push him away so much and pull the knees to the chest. And over time, this can be quite exhausting. So Marlon does a great job switching sides there. So let's watch that back. So he kind of hops over the hook. So instead of like back stepping, he does like almost like a jumping motion where he jumps over that hook. What he's trying to achieve by this hook is can catch them sometimes, like he did before, and he can use that to square up. So he's trying to clear that hook with his legs so he can go on the outside, which he does successfully. You can see how he clears it. Now he's just in a deep hip and knee post passing position. And he actually manages to secure the pass from there, which is quite nice. That's really nice. So when he's in this hip and knee post, he's having trouble separating the knee and the elbow. So instead, he dips his shoulder towards the inside and control the head. Faris wants to move his head away in high leg, but because Marlon has a grip on his head via a reverse collar tie, when he tries moving his head away and pushing him away, he can't. So one of the best ideas when you're passing guard is control the head. Right, controlling the head kind of limits their guard retention, especially if you can block the hip and switch to north-south. This is an excellent way of finishing the hip and knee post when you cannot create elbow and knee disconnection. Just punch your shoulder towards the inside, grab the head, and start switching towards north-south. Actually looks to mount him from here. Steps over his knee like a dope mount. Now they're in quarter mount. Marlon is trying to backstep, putting as much weight onto the knees as possible, and then probably elongate his legs. What Marlon's trying to do from here, he's trying to pin his far shoulder, but because Faris is balling up on his side, he's having quite a hard time doing that. So they could look to stay in this position for a while. Something to note, points are now on, so if Marlon does pass from here, he's going to be up 3 points. So he's really trying to establish like strong upper body grips and stop Faris from turtling, because if Faris can turtle, he can stop the points. So he's really trying to pin that shoulder towards the mat, but because Faris is turning so much, it's kind of difficult. So it's getting the butterfly hook to free his legs. Because Faris was turning in too much, he can always look to wrestle up because his shoulder isn't really controlled and isn't pinned towards the mat. So now Faris can look to progress forward and shoot up on the single leg. Faris has to switch to down blocking. And now that gives him an opportunity just to stand up. So now this is where the stakes come into play. Like, yes, Marlon did take him down during regulation, but it's still essentially 0-0, and there's still 2 minutes 30 and overtime left. So this is probably going to be where the match gets decided. So definitely, referee, if it goes to referee's decision so far, Marlon is definitely winning by a landslide. They look to exchange collar ties, probably trying to get their hands up and trying to get the defense lazy, catch their opponent while they're being lazy. That was quite nice. Often a tactic used is like start harassing the head so much so their hands come up to defend the collar tie, and then oftentimes you can switch backwards. So you can see Faris goes for a collar tie here, and because he goes for a collar tie, he doesn't have a hand blocking, and Marlon manages to shoot in shoulder deep and pick up the leg and go towards standing. He goes for the tight waist and looks to step behind and do like a modified Tanyo Toshi, but he just misses the far leg. So as he tries to step it in Tanyo Toshi, and because he misses a leg and doesn't catch it, he kind of sags towards his hip, and Faris can get out. So definitely a very interesting takedown attempt. Normally you don't see Tanyo Toshis in Nogi. Normally it's just a judo, but that's very effective. He just managed to miss a leg, that's why he didn't get it. So he shoots in, tries to trip the far leg with the Tani, misses, Faris scrambles out, and now Faris looks to re-shot off the underhook while he's moving backwards. Faris is going for the double leg and has to go on the single, and he just managed to go out of bounds. You can see this is ADCC in a nutshell, where you can drive your opponent off the mats, and the match keeps on going. So I believe they do call stop here, and they do have to reset standing, but that was quite a nice exchange. Minute 30 left. Both athletes are relatively fatigued and breathing hard. You can see Faris is getting quite sloppy with his defensive hand fighting. He's just looking to pretty much hunt the head with his collar ties. And he gets a warning. So I think Marlon is backing up intentionally to get Faris to push into him, so it's easier to for him to do his shots, which is quite an interesting tactic. They're both hanging on the head, trying to fatigue each other. Beautiful. Let's break down that sequence. So from here, Faris sets up like a pattern. Because he's collar tying so much, oftentimes the opponent hands have to come up higher and higher to defend the collar tie. So if you can kind of change the pattern, because it's kind of like setting a trap. Once you get your opponent collar tying you, you expect the collar tie, so your hands naturally come up and they don't think about defending the legs, especially since it's been like a minute of just Faris just collar tying Marlon over and over again. Marlon isn't really thinking about defending his legs anymore. So you can see Faris now just level change and he manages to get in pretty deep on the shot and managed to hook in tight. Marlon tries turning away and limping his leg out, but just before he can limp his leg out, I believe Faris switches towards the hip. Yeah, hand towards the thigh, and then climbs towards that far hip. And because he's captured that far hip, it's pretty sticky now. And now he's managed to lock his hand, so now he's really secured this position. I believe they said stop before the referee said anything. It's going to be quite interesting what position they reset in. I think they're going to reset them in a rear body lock. Oof, I don't know if that's right. At no point was Faris in front of him with a body lock. That's quite interesting reset, but maybe it favors Marlon a little bit, but it's hard to tell. There's only 16 seconds left. Tries jumping behind and throwing hooks in. Oh, beautiful counter takedown. Finishing overtime, regulation strong. So let's watch that back. So Faris locks his hands immediately in a body lock, and already you can tell by his shoulder position being up high, he kind of loosens Marlon's whizzer. Or Marlon doesn't even have a whizzer. So already Marlon's at a disadvantage, and Marlon looks to opt to 4-point from that position, probably so he doesn't get taken down. He can defend the 4-point. Sometimes giving up the rear body lock is a decent idea, because then you're defending standing rather than getting put towards your back in a body lock. So not a bad idea by Marlon. And then Faris tries throwing in hooks while Marlon is standing, which usually isn't the best idea because Marlon can look to block with his hands. And something I want to note is immediately once Marlon gets put down towards his knees, he just pops right back up and goes back towards a 4-point. And now, because Faris gets overzealous, he tries to throw in hooks. Marlon just ducks his head out and he falls over the top. This is an excellent time for him to re-attack, which he does. He manages to finish regulation in a very strong position, which definitely counts in the eyes of the referees. So now overtime, 4 minutes are left. Just going to fast forward this. Just watching the main moments. A lot of collar ties. Each of them only need one moment to actually score. I would say so far it's favoring Marlon. Marlon has most of the initiations. Marlon took him down a couple times in the beginning, finished the match in a really good position, and had some really good passing attempts. And actually, I think did pass for a little bit. Let's watch that. Marlon's pushing back and then switches towards a shot. Definitely an interesting tactic. He's always backing away and getting Faris chasing after him. Faris shoots as well and just managed to slip out. A minute left. It's pretty even. in terms of it hasn't been a score, but it's definitely favoring Marlon, I believe. They're neck and neck now, 26 seconds to go. Faris really trying to get something going before it's too late. There we go, beautiful takedown. This might have evened it up for Faris. Gets one hook in, great position. Getting the second hook in can be quite hard. So, there. So, honestly, that's a pretty close match. Could have gone to either way. Let's see who wins it. So I believe Marlon wins it. Definitely due to the work he did in our regulation, like all this time being on top and the passing attempts. I believe he even passed once here, and the time he spent in court him out. I believe the takedowns at the beginning definitely won him the match. So that's just to prove that being active early is definitely a good idea. Great match by both athletes. Great passing by Marlon, especially some interesting stuff he did with the butterfly half hooks, and he does an excellent job switching sides from the split squat. And great wrestling by both athletes.